The My Ford University Podcast, episode 33. Today we're going to be talking about how to AI-proof yourself, how to stay valuable in a machine-driven world. Hello everyone, welcome back colleagues. George Sloan from My Ford University and the My Ford University Podcast. Today we're tackling something that's urgent, something real, and something that's coming for just about everyone. AI. More importantly, what I really want to cover is how to AI-proof yourself before it's too late. So let's start here. AI isn't coming for your job, at least not yet. But if your job is predictable, repetitive, or process-driven, it's already knocking. A few months ago I sat down with a smart young guy early in his career, and he's big on tech and he's hungry to grow. And he told me, I want to work in computer technology, tech is the future. And what I said to him was, I said, great, learn all the tech you want, build your foundation. But here's what you really need to understand. AI will be your competition in a few years, maybe even sooner. He looked at me kind of surprised. So I gave him the same roadmap I'm about to give to you. This episode is your blueprint for becoming irreplaceable in an AI-powered world. Let's get into it. Why do you need to AI-proof yourself? Well, here's the reality. AI is already outperforming humans in a number of different capacities and roles. Let me share a few of them with you. Data processing, pattern recognition, optimization, language modeling, financial forecasting, customer service scripts, legal reviews, even medical image analysis. These systems are insanely good at clear, structured tasks. But, and when I say these systems, I'm talking about AI systems. If it's repetitive, there's a set of rules that it can operate within, it's very, very good. But what happens when the customer is furious, or the data doesn't fit the model, or the problem is messy, emotional, and full of contradictions? That's where you come in. That's where humans win. And this is what I said to that young man. I said, you have some talents and skills and abilities that are not going to be replaced by AI, at least not now or in the very near future. So we're going to get to that, but just want to keep that storyline going. So where does AI really fall short? Well, I'm going to break it down for you. Here's where AI still struggles. And some of these things I'm about to say were some of the things that this young man had that I thought he really should work on sharpening even further. Okay, real-time negotiation and compromise. Empathy, emotion, and ethics. I'm not saying getting emotional, I'm saying being emotionally intelligent and understanding that, sometimes you need to help people come down off the ledge because people are very unpredictable. Inspiring and leading people is another thing. AI is not very good at that. Making judgment calls with incomplete information. Sometimes the old gut feeling still makes sense. Just be objective about it. Reading the room, seeing what's appropriate, what the tone is, who's in the room. Motivating a team. People aren't necessarily going to follow what a computer is telling it. They will follow a leader. Navigating ambiguity and nuance. Again, humans are very complicated creatures, and AI is not there yet. In customer service, chatbots will handle tier 1, okay? But, and I think that there's a place for that. If there's a rote answer or a common question, it can usually be answered by a chatbot. But once things go sort of off script, that's when you need to talk to a human being. And that's tier 2. That's where it gets escalated to a human. Your goal, be the person that AI escalates to. Think about that. You need to be the go-to person. The person with the answers. The person that can deal human on human interaction. Okay, and again, that's all those things were kind of in line with what I was telling that guy that I worked with. What does it mean to be AI proof? Well, that's a very good question. It means your work delivers value that AI can't automate, replicate, or outperform. And let me define that for you. AI-proof professionals can make tough decisions under pressure, can influence behavior, and drive alignment. Again, human-to-human interaction is the key here. The ability to communicate and clearly deliver messages and do it in a persuasive manner to get human agreement and alignment, to spot patterns across systems. Again, pattern recognition is something that AI can be strong at, but sometimes there's that gut feeling or intuition. And bringing wisdom, not just data. Okay? It's not about staying employed, it's about staying essential and relevant. So, when should you start? Well, you should have started a couple of years ago, but how about right now? Not tomorrow, not next year. AI adoption is exponential. So that means early movers build an advantage that snowballs. If you're waiting, that's how you're going to get replaced. The earlier you start, the more habits you build, the more skills you stack, and the more compound benefits you will get. I have a perspective on this. My feeling is if you look at AI as a tool to be used and to help you and to supplement you, you will have a tremendous advantage over most people. If you sit and dwell on, oh, it's just going to replace me, you're doing yourself a disservice. Get ahead. Learn to use it to supplement and help you. I use AI to do a number of things. I use it for research sometimes. I use it for a sounding board. I will sometimes use it as an editor because I can write well, but I could always use a little bit of assistance, so I use it as an editor sometimes. I use it as a tool. I don't use it as a replacement, but as a tool, and you should adopt that mindset as well. So, where this matters most, obviously, it's everywhere. But especially companies going through digital transformations, customers facing roles with emotional complexity, and creative fields being disrupted by generative AI. Okay? Sorry for that interruption there. Mail was coming through the mail slot. Not editing out, because I'm not AI, I'm real. Additionally, technical teams that still need human oversight, that's a place for you to be. And of course, leadership roles requiring trust and nuance. I've talked about this, and I'm going to do a broader concept. I'll write about it. I think everyone should strive to be a leader, not just a manager, and you never want to be just a boss. You want to work on being a leader, and being a leader that can deal with human beings and work with them and collaborate and get them to work with you, that is something that AI is not going to replace. So you could be in school, you can be in a factory, a design studio, a boardroom. AI proofing matters everywhere. So how do you actually AI proof yourself is probably the next best question, and it's usually my favorite area of when we do these things. I always like the how. So let's talk about some action steps. I'm going to give you a 5-part plan. Always try to make the complex simple. I try to synthesize it down, and 5 steps is usually a good number. Step number 1, embrace AI. Don't fear it. If you want to stay ahead of it, you've got to understand what you're up against, and you've got to know how to use it. Think about that. If you want to stay ahead, you got to understand what you're against, and you have to know how to use it for your benefit. You want to learn how AI works. You want to know what it does well. You want to know where it fails or falls short, and you want to use it to increase your productivity. Here's an action tip. Try some tools like ChatGPT, Claude, or Perplexity. There's Grok. There's a whole bunch of them. There's Copilot. There's Gemini. Automate your boring tasks. I used to do this with Microsoft Office. I learned VBA. I started learning it in Excel, then I took it over to Word, and then I took it over to PowerPoint. Try to find ways to automate routine, boring tasks. And AI makes that even faster today. But I've been doing that for a long time. In fact, I still use it as my VBA partner when I need to do some VBA and I don't feel like, tinkering with it or looking it up in a book. I'll tell AI what it is I'm trying to do. And because I have a good understanding of how to do VBA to start, I know how to ask good questions, and it helps me do that. So you want to use it as your assistant, not your replacement. Because listen, if you're going to use it as your replacement, your employer, for example, may just, or your client or your customer, they might as well just use AI themselves. So you need to be a value add, and you can do it by using it as your assistant, not your replacement. Step 2, you want to double down on your human-centric skills. This is what I was trying to tell my young colleague. These are things that machines can't master, and I hinted at some of these already. Emotional intelligence, empathy, active listening, and reading people. Leadership, inspiring others, navigating culture, and managing conflict. Critical thinking, asking better questions, solving problems in the gray. Everyone likes things black and white. So does AI, by the way, because computers like black and white, zeros and ones. But most of the time in the real world, you have to operate between the black and the white, and that's what I will sometimes reference when I say acting in the gray. Not everything is cut and dry. Another thing you want to work on, strategic thinking. You want to see the big picture and you want to connect the dots. You want to work on your communication, the ability to write clearly, speak persuasively, and start using storytelling techniques. Storytelling is a great tool. I'm doing a lot of research on it right now because my feeling is it's a great way to communicate ideas to human beings in a way that they can easily synthesize it. And I'm doing a lot of work in that area. You also, creativity and innovation. I mean, when it comes to generating ideas and iterating quickly, you need to work on doing that because, again, AI can't really step up to that. And then, of course, there's always sales and negotiation. You want to understand motives and you want to close deals. Again, the common thread you'll notice through all of this is it's human interactions. And that's where I was saying to my young colleague, learn the tech, learn the computer stuff, get your foundation. I think that's a great idea. But work on your skills. And he had a good set of these skills. I said, work on your human-centric skills because that's what will set you apart. So start with 2 or 3 of these things, get good, and then stack more over time. Step number 3, build your human assets. These are career multipliers. What are we talking about? And again, you're gonna catch the human factor running through all of this. Reputation, be known for value. Relationships, build a network AI can't replace. Results, track your wins. Resilience, bounce back stronger. You're gonna take a hit every now and then. You got to be able to bounce back. Range, mix your disciplines for unique insight. This one is one I'm going to spend a little more time with. I'm working on putting together a full-blown, possibly a multi-part concept where you skill stack and you want to be a combination of a generalist and a specialist. And I know that sounds funny, and I'll explain it deeper at another point. You want to have a good, broad foundation on a generalist approach where across disciplines, but you want to pick a few disciplines where you go a little bit deeper, where in some cases you're, instead of just being a basic beginner, you get into intermediate, sometimes advanced, and sometimes expert level status. So we'll go into that more. And by the way, these things don't just show up on your resume, so you have to show up, where it counts. And this is where I talk about doing samples and sometimes doing walk and talk throughs. So Keep this one in mind. Step 4, get comfortable with ambiguity. We don't live in a static world anymore. Things don't take decades to change. It's not glacial. This is super fast, fluid situations. You live in a dynamic environment now. So AI loves structure. Loves structure. It's right or wrong. It's A or B. It's 0 or 1. Humans shine in the gray. Remember, black and white is wonderful, but most of the time, most things that happen in business and in life operate in the gray. Your superpower is going to be is when you're able to do the following things. You want to be able to make decisions with incomplete data. Don't fall for analysis paralysis. You want to handle nuance, and that's something that you develop in a personal relationship and human factors. You want to be able to think on your feet, and you want to use logic and intuition. And I would also add a little bit of gut feel sometimes, instinct. This is where AI hits the wall and where you can take the lead. Again, it's human-centric skills and knowledge and abilities that you can apply. That will set you apart, at least for now. At some point in the future, could be 100, 150 years, you might have full-on replicants, and who the hell knows. But for right now, and the foreseeable future, certain things AI will, eat your lunch, and there's some things AI can't even touch you because you've got human-centric skills. Okay, step 5, create a learning loop. Never stop upgrading. You have to, in some ways, you have to be like your iPhone or your smartphone, where you get upgrades from time to time. Little things that you want to add and upskill and upload. So here's the loop. 1, learn something valuable. 2, apply it immediately. And 3, reflect on it and refine, iterate, pivot, whatever. But that process right there is the foundation of myforduniversity.com. Learn the knowledge and skills fast, apply it fast, even faster, and then do it again and do it better. Again, iterate, pivot, make it better than it was. And that's continuous improvement, okay? The other parts of this are, once you've got that thing down, you want to share what you know. Remember, I've said, being someone's mentor actually does not only help them, but it helps you because it gets you thinking in different ways. It lets you open your eyes to things. It lets you see things from new perspectives, and it forces you to really know your stuff. And if you don't have the answer, you want to say, let me look into it, and I'll get back to you. And finally, repeat the whole thing. It's a never-ending process, continuous improvement. The best people in the world are always learning. Anyone that you probably admire is probably someone who is constantly learning. A lot of them are heavy book readers, and they're applying what they learn fast. They're looking for tidbits of knowledge. I always say about a book, you want to find at least one gem. I feel great when I can get 3 to a dozen. But one gem out of every book. There's something there, and you just got to find it. It's like you're a prospector searching for gold. All right, let's do some real talk right now. What happens if you don't do any of this? And I'm going to be honest with you. If you ignore this shift, here's the risk that you run. You can embrace it and work with it and make it a positive for you, or you can ignore it and hope that it goes away. But here's what you face if you do that. Displacement. Your job gets automated. Commoditization. You become a replaceable widget. You don't want to be a commodity. You want to be something special, a unique value adder. Okay? You get dependence. You will wait for someone else to solve it. And drift. You stagnate while others are growing. Stagnation is the worst. I've said to people recently, I don't want to be in the harbor. I want to be the ship on the ocean. I don't want to be sitting there watching the ships go by. I want to be the one that's out there. This isn't fear, it's just facts that I'm giving you here. So there is good news. There is still some time if you move now. The best time to start was yesterday. The next best time is today. The worst time is to put it off to tomorrow, because then tomorrow becomes the next tomorrow and so forth. You know how that works. Be different. Embrace it. Start today. All right, let me give you a quick real-world example. Going back to my young friend again. After our talk, he changed his course a little bit. He still studied the tech, but he also started working on personal development in terms of public speaking, emotional intelligence, decision-making, and leadership. These were the things I said to him. I said, you have a gift. Develop those gifts. He volunteered to lead meetings, and he used everyone around him as a mentor. He was a sponge. He practiced his communication. He started to build his confidence. You could actually see the change in this guy. It was kind of cool. Today, he's not just some coder or pure tech resource. He's actually prepping for a leadership role because of his human skills. That is AI proofing in action, and you can do the same. All right, let's do some final thoughts here. I mean, be the human that AI cannot replace. I mean, at the end of the day, that's really it. You want to be the human that AI cannot replace. So, the future doesn't belong to the fastest machine. It belongs to the most adaptable, the most emotionally intelligent, the most strategic, and the most human. When it comes to being adaptable and being human in particular, AI can hold a candle to you if you develop your skills. So you don't need to outcode the machine. You need to outthink, outdecide, and outlead it in the real world as a human dealing with humans. So be the escalation path. Remember, when the AI chatbot can't handle it, you be the one that can solve the problems and make the decisions to solve those problems. Be the trusted advisor. Be the closer. That's a reference to being in sales. You want to close deals. You want to be the negotiator. And most importantly, be the leader, because human beings are not going to be led by AI. I'm sorry. They want to be led by humans. And you want to be that guy or that girl that is the one that people turn to, and you're an invaluable resource at that point, okay? You want to AI-proof yourself, and you want to do it now. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in to the My Ford University podcast. If this episode hit home, I'd like you to share it with a person that really needs to hear it. I always say, please don't keep us a secret. And if you want to learn more and develop some of the skills that we've talked about, myforduniversity.com, wealth of information that's up there. I would go and highly recommend you check it out. So until next time, I want you to learn fast and apply it faster and be human on purpose. Thank you.